All right, so just a few miles from the famous pyramids at Giza, there's another site, one that holds one of ancient Egypt's most frustrating cold cases. And this isn't your typical story of a great discovery. No, this is about a massive mystery that has, unbelievably, been lost to the world twice. Picture this, it's 1906. The renowned Egyptologist Gaston Maspero is standing at this site, and he is just floored. He writes that nowhere is the sheer genius of Egyptian architects more obvious. He was convinced he was looking at something truly special, a peak achievement. And here's the kicker, the really crucial part. You can't go there. I can't go there. In fact, no archaeologist has been able to properly get in for decades. The exact spot that blew the minds of early explorers is now completely off limits, its secrets buried deeper than ever. We're talking about a place called Zawyet El Aryan. It's home to not just one, but two incredibly strange pyramid projects that seem to break all the rules of what we thought we knew about the Old Kingdom. And this comparison just says it all, doesn't it? Back in the 50s, the huge pit of the unfinished pyramid was actually used as a movie set for the Hollywood epic Land of the Pharaohs. It was treated like a world wonder. Fast forward to today, and satellite images show it's slap bang in the middle of a military base. And that incredible pit has literally been used as a garbage dump. It's just tragic. So let's get to know our two main subjects here. First up is the Layer Pyramid, dating back to the Third Dynasty. On the surface, it's just a crumbling ruin. But underneath, it's a whole different story. It's this massive labyrinth that was built before the pyramid was placed on top, which is a really unusual way of doing things. And then we have the unfinished Northern Pyramid from the Fourth Dynasty, which is basically just a gigantic, perfectly engineered trench with a very, very strange secret sitting at the bottom. And honestly, it's those secrets that make this place so fascinating. The builders at Zawyet El Aryan weren't just making tombs, they were creating these bizarre underground worlds that, to this day, we just can't fully explain. So let's start with that Layer Pyramid. Deep beneath the ruins, archaeologists discovered this U-shaped gallery that branches off into 32 separate small storage rooms. And when they found them, they were described as being clean and empty, as if the workmen had only just left. I mean, think about that. 32 perfectly clean, empty rooms sealed underground. For what? Okay, now let's jump over to the unfinished pyramid, because this is where things get truly mind-boggling. You're looking at an enormous T-shaped shaft dug 21 meters straight down into the bedrock. And the floor is paved with these massive blocks of pink granite. We're talking blocks weighing up to 40 tons each, polished like glass, and hauled all the way from Aswan, which is 500 miles south. The sheer effort is just staggering.
Right in the middle of that spectacular granite floor lies the absolute heart of this whole mystery. Now, Egyptologists will call it a sarcophagus, but, well, let's just say it's unlike any sarcophagus ever discovered in Egypt. And here's the thing, this oval tub, it just presents one baffling fact after another. First off, it wasn't placed on the floor, it was carved into one of the massive granite floor blocks. When excavators found it, it was perfectly sealed with this huge lid, but when they got it open, totally empty. Well, almost. The bottom had a strange black residue coating it. It just makes no sense. If it was a tomb, why seal it up empty? And if grave robbers got to it, why would they bother sealing it back up so perfectly?
So what's the official story here? You know, despite all these bizarre clues, the mainstream view is actually pretty straightforward. These were just meant to be tombs for a couple of different pharaohs. The Layer Pyramid is usually linked to a king named Khaba, mainly because some bowls with his name were found in a tomb nearby. The unfinished pyramid is tentatively assigned to a lesser-known king, sometimes called Baka, based on some graffiti and because its architecture is kind of similar to his father's pyramid. It's not exactly rock-solid evidence for either. But this is where it all starts to get really messy. The evidence is pretty thin, and the history of the excavations themselves is just riddled with contradictions. It makes coming to any simple conclusion basically impossible. I mean, just look at the timeline. The site was picked at and poked at over 100 years, but it never got a proper long-term systematic study. You had different teams coming in, doing a bit of work, and then leaving, and sometimes they came away with wildly different findings. This is a perfect example of the confusion. The main excavator of the Layer Pyramid, Alessandro Barsanti, drew this diagram showing a whole complex of passages. But then, just about a decade later, George Reisner's team comes in and draws a much, much simpler plan. So what happened? Did Barsanti just imagine some extra tunnels? Or did parts of the structure get filled in or collapse in just 10 years? We just have no way of knowing. So all this leaves us with two main schools of thought. The official theory is simple. They're just unfinished tombs. The pharaohs died, work stopped, end of story. But then you have others who point to weird things, like how Barsanti noted that after a huge rainstorm, that massive pit drained itself almost instantly, as if there was a hidden chamber or drainage system below. And that's led to these alternative ideas that maybe these weren't tombs at all, but some kind of machine or functional structure, maybe having to do with water. We could sit here and debate these theories all day, but the real tragedy of Zawyet El Aryan is that we can't search for answers anymore. The case has been sealed shut. In 1964, the entire area was declared a restricted military zone, and just like that, all archaeological work stopped. The door to the past was slammed, locked, and the key was thrown away. So those incredible structures that awed Maspero all those years ago, they're now just decaying, ignored, and literally being buried under modern buildings and garbage. The conflicting maps, the 32 empty chambers, that sealed but empty tub, the answers are all just sitting there, right near Giza, and we are forbidden to even go look for them. And that's the bottom line. Zawyet El Aryan is a cold case, not because the clues ran dry, but because the crime scene itself was cordoned off and basically abandoned. It really leaves us with a pretty haunting question, doesn't it? When we let priceless pieces of our own human story get treated like garbage, what else are we throwing away? What other secrets are we at risk of losing forever?